This anime season is just something else. Like, best girl. Can we just agree? Like, Shushu, best girl? Like, I know this is only episode 2, and there's definitely going to be more female characters kind of properly given characterization and development. But at least from the early stages of the anime, like episode 2 right now, Shushu, just such a great character. Her dynamic with our main male character, Yuuki, and how she's kind of gotten some form of interest in him in this episode, and even the degenerate moments, it's a good episode. She's a good character as well. And I don't know, just I feel like a lot of people that love, let's say, Mount Lady from My Hero Academia are probably going to be a very big fan of her character just because of her overall ability. She's pretty much Ant-Man. And, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it because people are gonna say it. You remember that iconic meme, like, years ago, okay? Before, like, Endgame finally came out for, Avengers, and there was a lot of people discussing, like, what if Ant-Man just went up, Thanos' butt and expanded and blew him up? That's what, was constantly talked about. There were so many memes about that. I remember, it was hilarious. And I know there's gonna be people that are probably gonna bring that exact same thing up with Shushu, because she has the ability to basically be Ant-Man, shrink and grow, and so she could pretty much annihilate anyone, just blow them up into, like, meat if she wanted to, so to speak, because of just how her ability is. Obviously, I don't think this series is really going to dive into that. I know that this is by the author of Akame ga Kill, and anyone that, has read or watched Akame ga Kill knows how gruesome that series is. It can be very bloody, very gory, so to speak, but I don't get that feeling from Mato Seihei. Mato Seihei seems more grounded in terms of, like, not wanting to be overly violent. It doesn't want to, let's just say, kill off characters here and there. It just seems to more or less be a standard, harem series with a little bit of differences, but it's just a standard, like, dynamic, so to speak. Nothing that is relatively trying to have our, characters dying left and right. Now, obviously, this could change as the story progresses and we get further into it, but at least from the current, story, it doesn't really give that vibe. So the overall antic of maybe, Shushu doing something like Ant-Man, or the actual theories of Ant-Man being able to do that to something like Thanos, I doubt is actually going to happen. But anyways, I wanted to mention that because I know there's going to be people that are going to bring it up, so I might as well bring it up before I already see it in the comment section. So yeah, anyways, with that being said, let's just get right into this episode. So episode 2 of just this series it's fun. It's really fun. I think that legitimately this is a better episode than episode 1. Obviously, episode 1 was setting up more of the world and the dynamic that Yuuki or MC is going to have with the characters. But this episode kind of further expands Yuuki's role within the story. For instance, like, when is he going to be useful? When is he going to be able to fight? When is he not going to be able to fight? What's his role when they're not fighting? And how are the other characters within this, like, overall house, going to interact with him? And it's very clear early on, like, when this episode began and he became, like, a cleaner and all that, it's very apparent his dynamic. There's a few that accept him, obviously, but there's also those that just do not accept him, think that, it's weird that he's here because, this whole establishment has just been female only, and so this guy coming in, being a caregiver and all that, it's just like, it's, it definitely doesn't sit right with some people. So it makes a lot of sense, especially when you just fundamentally have individuals that have never had, like, a guy there invading their privacy. It's a traditional and typical, I guess, dynamic between characters with these type of stories. I've seen it already many, many times where, like, a guy character, he moves into an all-girl school to attend it and all that, and he's the only guy there. I've seen this type of storyline a lot, but, I mean, once again, this is very important to set the character dynamics and just how certain characters accept him or don't accept him, and because of the antics of just, him being basically in a whole girl dormitory, so to speak, there's situations he's going to get into that are going to make him embarrassed or can be used against him as blackmail, saying that, he's doing stuff that he shouldn't necessarily be doing, for instance, to get rid of him or whatever. But Shushu as a character doesn't necessarily seem to be someone that's doing that. Now, let me explain, okay? So obviously it's very clear, thanks to just, like, everything that, this episode set up here, is that Shushu is blackmailing Yuuki. Like, blackmailing him to get him to do whatever she wants. Okay, we understand that. But it's very clear that she's not trying to necessarily be malicious about it. she's more or less using it as a way to get closer to Yuuki and to be able to just get to know him, because it seems like if she doesn't do that, she might not be able to even establish a conversation with him. And so that is something to really take away from this. It might show that she is kind of a little bit awkward with conversation. She didn't really know how to approach Yuuki and talk with him until she figured out how she could have some form of superiority over him to be able to communicate with him. Because she does establish in this episode that she, was watching him. Like, every moment that he was walking around, cleaning, etc., she was watching him. For instance, she grew small to be, or not grow, she went small mode to be able to, actually watch Yuuki, for he wouldn't know. If he messed up, she would notice it, etc., and she got a good read on his character to see kind of who he was, and so it seems like she's a little bit more comfortable around him. It's very clear by just the dynamic she presents within this episode. Now, once again, yes, there is some, heinous stuff she is doing, having blackmail against him, but I truly don't think that she would actually use it against him. She more or less is using it as a conversation starter, and I feel like later on, she probably is going to say, yeah, I'm not really blackmailing you, I probably delete those photos or whatever. She just did that just to, be able to even begin, conversation with him, but judging by, the dynamic as well, and how she's, like, even more interested in him, she's probably going to get a little bit more aggressive with her advances as the story progresses. Now, there is something I do want to talk about, okay, that is very interesting fundamentally, that I think is hilarious, that, the series actually wanted to tone it down a little bit. So, there's this, like, whole little action sequence, obviously, where, like, Shushu is fighting this monster here, and it's pretty apparent that, she is losing, okay? And we get to see her abilities on display and all that. And before Yuuki comes in to kind of save the day, I want to mention that her ability to be able to grow or shrink, it's kind of interesting that the author decided to allow her clothes to grow with her. Because FYI, this is an uncensored anime. Completely. If you watch this episode, you got to see it for yourself. It is an uncensored series. There's no censorship whatsoever. And this is actually what happened in the manga. For instance, Shushu, the clothes and everything grew with her. So the fact of the matter is that, the clothes grow with her. It's a little bit shocking, especially when you just look at what the tone of the series is. I mean, legitimately, think about this. Like, it would be so simple, low-hanging fruit for the author of this series to just have the clothes rip because she grew giant. And it's just like, the fact that didn't happen is a little bit surprising. I know that's nothing groundbreaking or revolutionary, not really even important to the episode, but I just do want to mention it because there is some things that are being held back at the very least for this show, at least, with the writer holding stuff back that potentially they could have done. Now anyways, with that being said, Yuuki actually comes in to save the day, and it's legitimately funny. This is a very funny sequence for a variety of reasons. For one, is that he is partially transformed, and he comes in to save the day, to save Shushu that is about to potentially die here, and it's funny because this man, the reason how he transformed is because he, he licked the boots of Kyoka. And it's just like, bro. Oh my god. Like, we knew the series was probably going to go there, and this is why it's a huge contrast to what I just talked about, because, Shushu's overall degeneracy was held back, while we have, like, this, where he's literally licking boots to be able to partially transform, and it's like, the fact that he did that is just like, yo, okay, it's going to be that type of series. So, yeah, I don't know, the series, legitimately, it's a fun series that you shouldn't take too seriously. I think a lot of people that are watching this are those that either A, are fans of the manga, the original source, or B, they're those that are very interested in this type of content and they want to continue watching it because it's just they're interested in it. And I want to be honest with you, I love this series, it's a great read, and I'm not caught up, FYI, with the manga, but I do like Mato Seihei. It's a fun series, and the anime is really doing a fantastic job. Episode 2 is leaps and bounds way better than how the first episode was. Obviously, this can be because of the CGI, lack of CGI, for clarification, but I mean, I still think that overall, and just in terms of what the series is providing, it's a very solid start. I think this episode did a good job with kind of, giving more details on Yuuki as a character, but also some of the side characters. So, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoy Mato Seihei, do leave me a like on the video. It does help me out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it. With that, Chibi out.